Hi, I'm Sandi Genovese, and I don't know if you realize this, but I am in love with tins. I've set some of them here on the table. The ones that I like the design of, I save. And even when the mints or whatever little trinkets came inside are gone, I save them and reuse them. In the case of ones where the design is not my favorite, I use these as containers for little gifts and things. So I thought we're going to see how to turn this one into a holder like I've done for this for magnet bookmarks. So we're going to look at how to make the magnet bookmarks and then how to decorate a tin that can hold the bookmarks. So even if you don't read, if you use e-readers and you're not reading, actual books, you're reading books but not paper books, you're reading them electronically, bookmarks are great for catalogs, cookbooks, magazines, planners. They're all sorts of places where I still use bookmarks. I've decorated the outside of the tin with the number 5 because I'm going to put 5 bookmarks in here. Right now I think I only have 4, and then I love to read and I'm going to be giving this to somebody who loves to read. So you can see inside I've got read a good book, and when I open this up, it's a magnet bookmark, which if I had a piece of paper here, you can see the magnets clamp so that it's never going to fall off the book page. It's going to really be a sturdy way to hold your book pages together. Here is a star. Once again, notice the magnets inside, and we've got a heart. They last a couple of years, and then I have to replace them just because the paper starts to get all kind of worn out. And an arrow, and then I still have to make a 5th one in order to go in with these magnet bookmarks. This is the one that we're going to look at how to make today. So I started with a die cut it's called a tag, and it's this shape right here. So I die cut the shape, and then I used the same die cut I folded paper first, the same paper, and when I put it on the die, I positioned it so that the top portion of this is not allowed to cut. The blade in the top is not allowed to cut. So if I lay this here, I placed it against the die blade like this so that it cuts everywhere except the blade up here can't cut because it's not exposed. It allows you to cut anything on the fold so that it opens and closes. In this case, which it's perfect for, is to create a bookmark. So once you have this shape, we're going to look at how to decorate what will be the top. I'm not crazy about looking at a shape with the fold on the top, unless you pick a shape that has a straight edge at the top. You might want to go back like I did and cut the actual shape out, and we're going to place it over the top, and it will cover up that folded edge. While it's still flat and you don't have magnets attached, it's easiest to decorate. So if I wanted to decorate it like this, all I did was just use my pins, and I'm going to just start by creating just a narrow white edge by going around the edge of this tag. It's kind of shaped like a bracket, and it's easy enough to do because you've already got the design there. You're just following along inside. Simple, but personal. So as I get to the top, that finishes just the narrow white line that you see around the edge. Now I'm going to have to, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add these letters first because they only fit when I go right in this one spot. So I'll bring up the letters that I used. I die cut the word yum. I used paper that I'd run through the Xyron machine, so it had adhesive already on the back. So I'm removing the backing, but I'm not pressing down very hard yet just because I want to make sure everything is going to fit well. So once you have them, oops, let me straighten this guy out. positioned the way you want them, then add your adhesive and fasten it down. And then I just took a black pen, and I'm going to have to face this toward me so that I can write it, but I just used a regular pen, and I'm going to print first the word read. So when you mix fonts, it really kind of helps. Nothing has to be as perfect as you would think. Then I'm going to handwrite read and then I'll write good and book. And when I looked at it, I thought, well, it would look better if I added just a little bit of shading. So I'm not going to stop and do each letter, but by just finding the curves, for instance, in this G, and I'll just add some shading to the curves in the O, the bottom of the curve in the D. You can see how it starts to give it personality, so that when you're finished, it's really personal because it's something that you've done by hand, and you've created a really cool embellishment. Of course, I would go ahead and decorate the rest of it. But once you've got this decorated, let's look at creating the magnets that go inside. You can use the same die, the die cutting machine to cut out. I used it to die cut and cut out the magnet pieces that are going to go here. And if you look at this, you can see that I'm using self-adhesive magnet. So I thought I would show you your choices. Looking here, if your shape that you're doing is small enough, like the heart, this works well with this smaller size that you can pick up at Staples or Office Depot. It's a business card size self-adhesive magnet, and it works great for the smaller shapes. For the larger shapes, I used a sheet, and there were self-adhesive magnet that I got at the craft store that came in a package, and then I also found even thinner magnet, but it doesn't have self-adhesive, but it has a printable side, and that allows you to place adhesive on it, and then you use your favorite adhesive and attach it. So once you pick the magnet that you're going to use, then you want to attach it. Now, if I cut the entire die cut shape, then I try to fold this, it's obviously it's not going to work because I've cut off the top. So I went back with my scissors and I trimmed. I'm not going to actually trim this, but when the one cut out of magnet, I trimmed right at this edge, which is what you can see I've got here. So here's the magnet shape, and when I go to place this, I'm going to peel the backing off. It's a really aggressive adhesive, so sometimes I only do a portion at a time, and that way I'm going to just go ahead and peel it all. And then I'm going to align it. I'll try to keep my hands out of the way, but if they're blocking, I will move them in just a minute so you can see. So I'm just lining it up with the design of the die cut, and then pressing so that the adhesive can stick. Now I've got magnet on this side. Now I need to cut. I've cut so that the magnet faces this way, and I've done the same thing. I've trimmed off the edge. I'm going to do the same removal of the backing. And then I find when I'm trying to line up designs with something that already has adhesive, it's really helpful if I use my fingers. I can feel when everything is lined up almost more than I can see it. So when it's lined up, press. And now because there's no magnet in this channel, it really will fold open and close really nicely to create this finished look. Now, once again, remember, I like having the design on the top. So I'm going to put adhesive on the one that I've decorated. Everywhere except the very tip, because remember, I don't go off the edge. And I'm going to line this back up with the top. and with the hole and press. So now I have a magnet bookmark. The final stage would be to thread this. Actually, let me show you on this one because it's already threaded. I just created a loop of ribbon, pushed the loop through. I used a floss threader to push it through, and then pull the ends through so that you end up having an even more elegant look to the bookmark. This is how you can create any number of die cuts can be turned into magnet bookmarks that really look beautiful and they work great. Now for the tin, of course the size of the tin, it depends on what, I hang out at the grocery store and at the drugstore because lots of little candies come in these little tins, which is really fun. You can also find them online. In order to decorate it, all I did was I just cut paper that would match closely. And because I like having this little edge show, I purposely made it so that it's not exactly the same dimensions. I want a little sliver of red to show. And I'm going to decorate the same shape and place this on the inside so that I have one more place where I can write a message and stick this inside as well. So let's look at the decorating. Now it's my first one was squarish and this one is a long rectangle. So it means I probably need a slightly different look to it. So I'm going to take the same paper, but you'll see how I'll just rearrange it a little so that it more easily accommodates a rectangle instead of a square. So I'll line this up with the outside edge. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to trim off the excess, but I'm also going to add a little lip here of color. So let me add that as well, and then I can trim off both at the same time. So I'll add a little band of color to go here. And now I'm going to trim off, and I realize my paper is white, so it may not be as obvious to you, but I'm following the line of my cardstock that was the shape I cut that matched the box. And I'm using just that as my guide to trim the excess off so that it just matches. So you'll end up with shape, and then I thought it would be fun to add a star embellishment. So I've cut a star out of some pattern paper. And I'll go ahead, I'll try to do this so my hands are out of the way. And I'm going to position this. I like things to kind of go off the edge. So I'm going to position this like so. And once again, I'm going to go back and trim off the excess where it overlaps. And then if you have a message, if you want to say who it's to, that it's from you, you could do all that information and then go ahead and place your adhesive. And surprisingly, I just used my regular adhesive on my tin and it worked great. So, you know, I would have thought that maybe I would have to sand this to get it to stick. It was not an issue at all. So I'll open this up so that maybe it's a little easier for you to see what I'm doing here. Try to flatten this out. Try to create it so that I have a fairly even border all the way around, and then let me press, and it really sticks nicely. So you've just taken, you know, something that was for cutlery and turned it into a really cool holder that's going to hold all of, in this case, the magnet bookmarks. You would do the same kind of thing, design, would add whatever detail that you want, whatever extra message you want, and then this is going to, you put adhesive on the back and it's going to sit inside the opening. And that quickly and easily, you can create just the coolest magnet bookmarks. I think you're going to be surprised. Even if you read ebooks, you really will find uses for these as bookmarks in catalogs, in cookbooks, in magazines, work reports, or if you're big into planners, they're great for those too. Remember, I love hearing your comments. Be sure to share us with your scrapbooking and your crafting friends. If you want to, you can like us with a thumbs up. Don't forget to sign up for these free weekly videos. However, if you want access to hundreds of past episodes, or if you want to be able to print a full color instruction sheet, then you might want to consider joining the Gold Club. Bye for now.